Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The Lebanese Health Ministry has said that 1,974 people, including 127 children, have been killed in Israeli attacks in the last year. Airstrikes continued overnight, here residents gathering outside a Beirut building on fire after a strike in the early hours. Recent Israeli airstrikes have caused significant destruction in Beirut's southern suburb of Daya. The Israeli military says it has killed 15 Hezbollah members in an overnight airstrike. Residents in 25 additional areas in southern Lebanon have been told to evacuate their homes and head to the north. Queues of passengers have been seen inside Beirut's Rafik Hariri International Airport as many scrambled to leave the country. The only flights available were operated by Lebanon's national carrier, Middle East Airlines, as other international airlines had suspended operations. Britain and the US have chartered private flights for their citizens to leave. Others have been travelling by boat, here hundreds arriving in Turkey. Meanwhile, the Israeli Defense Forces has announced that 3 months ago it killed 3 senior Hamas leaders in Gaza. Among them is Rohi Mushtaha, identified by the IDF as the head of the Hamas government in Gaza, along with Sama al-Siraj and Sami Uda, who were responsible for security in Hamas. The IDF said they were hiding in an underground compound in northern Gaza and were killed by airstrikes. Israel said Hamas did not announce the deaths in order to prevent loss of morale and functioning of its terror operatives. Donald Trump resorted to crimes while trying to overturn his 2020 election defeat and should not escape charges, that's according to prosecutors. A new court filing challenges Trump's claims that he should avoid a trial thanks to a recent landmark US Supreme Court ruling. This said American presidents should be immune from prosecution when acting in an official capacity. Mr. Trump was president when the alleged offences were committed, but prosecutors say he was acting in a private capacity, not an official one. NATO's new chief, Mark Rutte, has discussed the war in Ukraine and Kyiv's so-called victory plan with President Volodymyr Zelensky after arriving in the Ukrainian capital on his first official trip since becoming the alliance's Secretary General.
Yes? We have not spoken for 3 months. Thank you so much.
Mr. Zelensky told a joint press conference that he would like to see Kyiv's allies shooting down Iranian missiles and drones used by Russia in attacks on Ukraine, as some of Israel's allies did when Tehran attacked Israel with missiles this week. Wary of Russia's response, Ukraine's allies have held off on making such a move. Rutte affirmed the Western Defence Alliance's commitment to Ukraine eventually becoming a member.
But this is my first time here as NATO Secretary General. And it was important to me that I come to Ukraine at the start of my mandate to make crystal clear to you, to the people of Ukraine, and to everyone watching, that NATO stands with Ukraine.
9 people have died in a fire at a hospital in southern Taiwan. The fire struck the Pingtung County Hospital. The wet and windy weather complicated the fire response. The cause of the fire, which was put out more than 3 hours later, officials said, is still under investigation. Some reports have suggested it was due to an electrical fault. Typhoon Krathon has made landfall in Taiwan, bringing torrential rains and fierce winds. That's according to the National Meteorological Center. Here's security camera footage capturing a store counter and shelf being blown away due to strong winds in Kaohsiung. Heavy winds and rain brought by Typhoon Krathon have caused at least 2 deaths and injured 102 people. The typhoon is forecast to move slowly northeast and weaken into a tropical depression. And an Italian land artist ahead of the US election has created a huge portrait of the Democratic presidential nominee and US Vice President Kamala Harris. The artist, known abroad for his land portraits of former US Presidents Barack Obama and Donald Trump, as well as Pope Francis, decided to pay homage to Harris after being impressed by one of her quotes: "Optimism is the fuel that drives every struggle we do." The work, drawn freehand with a plough pulled by a tractor, was created on a plot of wheat stubble in Castagnaro in the province of Verona. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.